everyone, it's Alana and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about all the books that I decided to buy / was given in the month of February. Now remember last month when I said that these will probably not become like a staple of my channel? Yeah, turns out working in a bookstore means that there are more books to tempt me to take home, and I have a huge stack again this month. So we're going to talk about those books today. So I can see all the books stacked up here. They're in a few different piles for different reasons, which I will get to. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 books to share with you. But hey, at least I'm buying books and not freaking out about toilet paper like the rest of the country seems to be doing currently. So of these 12 books, 4 of those pertain to a goal of mine this year. 3 are advanced reader copies that I received through work. 2 are damaged copies that I got to take home. 1 is a book club pick, which I'll talk about a little bit later as well. And then there's just 2 stragglers on the end there that I saw and I wanted, so I got them. So without further ado, let's kick it off with the ARCs that I got through work, or advanced reader copies. I saw this one sitting out the back. This is Red Day by Sandy Fussell, and it sounded really intriguing. In this one, the main character has synesthesia. I say it wrong every single time, so apologies for that, but in this one, the main character associates colors with attitudes and objects and letters and days of the week and that sort of thing. It's a middle grade story set in Australia. It's very atmospheric. There's also crossover with some Japanese Australian history in there as well. This is really good. I enjoy this a lot. The next arc I have is Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzalez, and oh my god, this book was everything. And yes, that means that I have already consumed this title. It is a gender-bent queer retelling of Grease. In this one, we follow Ollie, who has a summer fling with Will and then ends up going to the same high school and finding out that Will is not who he thought he was. Basically, Grease, but for the modern day and age. Unpopular opinion time. I do not like the movie Grease whatsoever. It just doesn't mesh well with me. So this really surprised me because of how much I love it, because I don't like the original tale. And then the third and final arc that I received from work is Chosen Ones by Veronica Roth. I'm very excited for this one. It also looks like a little bit of a chunker, and from what I can understand, this is Veronica Roth's delving into adult / new age sort of genre, and the back just says, saving the world once made them heroes, saving again might destroy them. All I know about this so far is that it plays around with the Chosen Ones trope, and I am just really excited for it. I also will possibly be doing a reading vlog for this, so hopefully I get around to that, and keep your eyes out for that. I'm pretty sure that this one comes out in April, and this one came out in early March, as well as this one. So March releases and April release. Next up, we have 2 books that I received through work. The first one of those being Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This has been so very popular, and so many people ask me if I've read it myself, so of course I had to get it to read it and consume it and see how I go with the story. It's a fiction novel about stuff. I don't really know much about this one, so I will be going into this one blind, and I probably should do my research a little bit more before I do these hauls, but what am I going to do? And then the other one is Legend by Marie Lu. This is one of her other series that I've been meaning to start. Again, I don't know too much about this. All I know is potentially sci-fi or fantasy, YA, and that it has a very popular following on Bookstagram, so I'm excited to join the hype train for this, even though it's definitely a few years old by now and I'm definitely late to the party, but I want to give it a go. Next up for this haul, I have 4 books which help towards one of my reading goals for 2020, and that is to try and finish off as many unfinished series that I'm currently reading as possible. So to kick things off, I have Always and Forever Lara Jean by Jenny Han. I discussed this in my February wrap-up, which I will link up the top and down below for you. This is the conclusion to the To All the Boys trilogy that everyone is currently obsessed over because of the movies that have come out, and yeah, I picked it up because I needed to finish off the trilogy, and I have since consumed it, so I can tick that one off my little list. This trilogy is a contemporary young adult trilogy, and the first book, To All the Boys I Loved Before, is a story about a girl going through high school and discovering her crushes and basically the high school experience and first loves and all of that cute gooey shit. So it's really easy to read and you'll power through it. It's just mush to read to make you feel all lovey-dovey. And then I have Wildcard by Marie Lu. This is the conclusion to the Warcross duology. I love the first book. I have a feeling I will probably love this one too. The first book, Warcross, is about a girl called Amika who is currently in a bit of a rough patch. She gets hired as sort of a bounty hunter to track down this hacker of this virtual reality game which has taken over the world, and it's like a mystery sci-fi mash of Ready Player One but with less like pop culture references, and I loved it immensely, so very much looking forward to this. Then I purchased Evermore by Sarah Holland, which is again the finale in a duology. The first one was Everless, and if you've seen the movie In Time, it's basically that but in a fantasy setting and of course with different tweaks to the story, but with the same concept of time is currency and money and how the world revolves around that. The first book I think was sort of heading in an enemies to lovers sort of romance, and I'm keen to see where that picks up in this one. It's been a while since I read Everless, so I don't know if I should read that first or just like look up what happens in it, but I want to dive into this. And of course I had to get the matching hardcover to the Everless copy that I have, which was a bit of a pain to get because there's multiple different hardback editions, basically just bookworm problems, but we got there. It's here. I have it in my little hands. And then the last book that I have to go towards that 2020 reading goals, I should just link the video up above for you to peruse as well, but that is Five Dark Fates by Kendare Blake. This is the fourth book in the series. The first one, Three Dark Crowns, follows three sister queens who have to fight to the death and kill each other in order to become the ruling queen. One is an elementalist, one is a naturalist, and one is a poisoner, and they've just got to fight it out, and the story goes from there. I will say the first book really didn't hook me as much as I wanted. It was a bit disappointing, but as the series has gone on, I've enjoyed each book more and more and more, so I'm definitely looking forward to this one because I feel like there is going to be a showdown, fingers crossed, in this one. And then the next two books I have are ones that I purchased just because. The first one being Cracked Up to Be by Courtney Summers. I had to get this because I love the cover. It matches the cover of Sadie, Courtney Summers' other novel, and it sounded like another emotional sort of contemporary novel. If it wrecks me as much as Sadie did, I will be there for it. I don't know much about this one, so the blurb just says, the high price of perfection is one perfect Parker Faladay always believed she was willing to pay until the devastating events at a party during junior year fracture the lives of her family and friends. So yes, hard-hitting contemporary is what I'm hoping for from this one, and it's also pretty thin, so I think I'll be able to smash through it pretty quick. I do love a contemporary that wrecks me, so looking forward to that. And then I bought Amulet, book number 1 in the graphic novel series by Kazuo Kibuishi, and this was a really fun story. It's also the first graphic novel that I've ever picked up, and I just loved it. It was a nice palette cleanser in between some of the real thick fantasy books that I was reading at the time, and I really love too how the color scheme actually changes throughout the storyline as different elements are introduced. It's very atmospheric in that nature, and I'm keen to continue on with this series. And the 12th and final book that I have to talk about is The Wicked Deep by Shea Earnshaw. This is the book club pick book in which two other friends and I, who all love to read, pick a book a month to consume, and then we hang out one night a month and talk about it. So this is the one that we did for February. This really atmospheric read is about a girl called Penny and a boy called Bo, and a town with a curse on it where 200 years ago 3 sisters were drowned for being witches, and every year they come back in the bodies of girls on the island and drown boys. So there's a bit of death in this. It makes it all the more rewarding reading it. There's some really bittersweet elements throughout this, and I really liked that. It really pulled me in, and I loved it so very much. Do I want to visit the imaginary town of Sparry now though? No, because I don't want to die. So those are the 12 books that I bought/received in the month of February. Looking at them all stacked up, there's a few pages to be read, which is fine. Everything's fine. I just get really, really excited. If I see a book that looks interesting, I gotta have it. So that's all I got for you today. Comment down below if any of these books piqued your interest and which one you'd like to pick up. As for me, I'm now gonna go do some reading, some editing, hopefully get some of these read. So I will see you in my next video. Bye!